Okay, good evening and welcome to the Eastchester Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for May. Today is Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. We begin our meetings with a Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, while everyone's getting seated and getting the stuff together, I usually take this opportunity to go over ground rules. So first things first, we obey Robert's Rules of Parliamentary Order. We won't go through the entire book of what that means. It's rules that most government and quasi-government agencies follow. A couple of highlights. Number one, action is taken based upon motion, resolution, and vote. And also for those new matters tonight, just to give you an idea, if you haven't presented before, that your application, all the documents and any correspondence prior to the meeting are marked submitted. They're part of a public record. So when you come up, you needn't read the entire presentation of the 5-part test or 3-part test, whatever your application is about. I mean, you can. It's not either going to help or hurt your application. I think it may be better since the board is familiar with your application. In many instances, we've been to the site. Probably be better just to summarize your application, and then the board thereafter would have an opportunity to ask questions, sometimes make comments, and then on motion that's approved, the public will have an opportunity to be heard. Any public commentary I would afford an opportunity for the applicant to reply, and then the board would have further opportunity to ask questions or comments, etc. I just want to remind those who are here and the viewing public, as I do every meeting, that no new correspondence will be accepted after the close of the public hearing. Particularly during the COVID pandemic, when we were having remote meetings, a lot of the information was coming in via email or mail. And when we open the public hearing, all of the documents that are marked submitted are part of the public record. They're not read on the record, so that's why people come in person to be heard. And once the public hearing is closed, then any commentary thereafter cannot be part of the record. We won't look at it, consider it. So no new correspondence is accepted. So if someone is watching at home tonight and they want to say something, they should get in their car and drive like crazy down here. Because once we close the public hearing, if tomorrow they feel moved to write an email, that email will be stricken. It'll be not part of the record. We will not consider that. Tonight we have a 4-member board. Unfortunately, member William Conway could not be here. That's only pertinent for our resolutions. Just for a point of order, on a 4-member vote, an approval would need to be 4-0 or 3-1. A procedural thing called a default denial would be such if it's 2-2. So that may sound counterintuitive, but any 2-2 vote is a denial. Now, some agenda notes. We are taking, Mr. The agenda is a public record, we're taking a couple of things out of sequence. So the order for the meeting tonight would be that there's 2 items on for resolution. We will hear the Main Street and Water Street applications back to back, and then Park and Tuckahoe will be heard. Application with respect to 16 Greystone has been adjourned on consent. That will be heard in the June meeting. So just to take a roll call, make sure if you're ready to proceed, I want to make sure you're present and ready to proceed. Main Street, New Street, ready to proceed? Okay. Water Street?
I don't see the applicant's representative.
I don't. Okay. Park Avenue, ready to proceed? Okay. Tuckahoe Avenue? Okay. Great. Thank you. Okay, before I get to the resolution calendar, I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes of the April 2025 meeting. Is there a second to my motion?
Second.
Mr. Cahalan, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay, on to the resolution calendar. I make a motion to adopt the resolution granting the requested variance for application 24-14, that's 6 Sprague Road, subject to the following conditions. Condition number 1, the applicant shall install a 22.5-inch deep layer of clean crushed stone beneath the turf to accommodate the storage of a 100-year storm as shown on the synthetic grass warehouse detail on the plan titled Sheet 1-1 Site Plan Proposed Turf prepared by Caciopoli Engineering PLLC, dated February 22nd, 2025. Condition number 2, the turf area shall be established and maintained in compliance with the project plans. Any modifications to the location or configuration of the turf from that shown on the project plans shall require review and approval by the Zoning Board of Appeals. Is there a second to my approval motion?
I'll second.
Mr. Weber. Okay, to the vote. Mr. Cahalan?
No.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
I vote yes. That application's been approved 3-1. Okay. Next item on the resolution calendar, I make a motion to adopt the resolution granting the requested variance for application 25-12, Pure Physique Scarsdale, 74 Garth Road, subject to the following 3 conditions. The use shall be established in compliance with the project plans as they may be modified by the planning board during the special use permit review process, provided that such modifications do not increase the magnitude of any of the variances. Condition 2, the applicant shall use best efforts to secure parking permits in nearby municipal lots for employees of the business. Condition 3, the applicant has represented that the proposed facility will be a personalized fitness training center where all training sessions are by appointment only, with a maximum of 6 clients and the trainer using the facility at any given time. The analysis as to the variances, particularly with regard to the provision of off-street parking, was based on these representations by the applicant. Therefore, use of the facility to a manner other than as described in the condition or the expansion of the facility into additional spaces shall be a violation of the variances. No change in the operation of the use that would increase the scope of the use beyond that described in this condition and the materials submitted in support of this application may be undertaken unless a modification to this approval is granted by the Zoning Board of Appeals. Is there a second to my motion?
Second.
Mr. Miller. To the vote. Mr. Cahalan?
No.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
I vote yes. That's been approved 3-1. Okay. On to old business. This is 249 Main Street, 27 New Street. I'm required to recuse myself. That application is going to be chaired by Mr. Cahalan, as well as the 34 Water Street, if the applicant is in attendance. Excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You going to Dunkin' Donuts?
No,
Take the big seat.
no, it's not me. Can't do it. Counselor, anytime you're ready.
Yes. So, good evening, Acting Chairman, members of the board. My name is Diana Kolev, and I'm with the firm of Del Bello, Donnellan, Weingarten Wise, and Whitaker. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Eastchester Manor Developers, and its principal, Angelo Agavino. So, Mr. Agavino is here tonight. We also have Brian Dempsey from DTS, the project traffic engineer. We have Michael Mastro Giacomo, the project engineer. And we also have David Smith, the planning consultant. So we have the entire team here to answer any questions that you might have. So we were last before you on February 11th, and at that time, I was not yet retained, but Mr. Agavino and Mr. Smith presented, submitted the application, and answered the board's questions. The public hearing was closed at that time, and we were not able to provide additional documentation and information to respond to some of your comments to assist with your decisions. So we did request that the public hearing be reopened, and I just want to confirm that it has been reopened, or if there needs to be.
I'm going to do that as soon as you're finished.
Okay, so you'd like me to go through the entire presentation before you reopen it, or?
I think we can.
Yeah, typically you'll give your presentation, the board members will ask their questions, and then we'll open the matter to the public.
Okay, Okay, so we do ask, though, because we did also submit, in addition to our request to reopen the public hearing, we also did submit additional documentation, including three memos from DTS Provident that were very relevant with respect to parking and traffic, as well as the fire apparatus travel through the site, which was one of the issues that was raised during this review. So I'd like to request that in reopening this public hearing, that information, that documentation be made part of the record. So again, we heard your comments, and I actually was able to watch the last meeting in February, and we were able to then prepare the responses to your comments and the additional information. So by way of background, because I understand that Mr. Weber was not present at that meeting in February, this project has been before the zoning board and the planning board since around 2019 in different variations. The initial version of it involved only 249 Main Street, and that was a 15-unit building, 4 stories, and 26 parking spaces. And at that time, this board, as well as the planning board, granted approval. So this board granted the variances associated with that version of the project, and the planning board granted site plan approval. Thereafter, the adjacent parcel, 27 New Street, was acquired by Mr. Agavino, and as in it, with the additional square footage, he expanded the project initially with a 6-story building, and then further revised it to decrease that height to a 4-story building. The project that was originally proposed with the 6 stories, that one had 25 units, but they were 15 one-bedrooms and 10 two-bedroom units. The proposal was for 36 parking spaces. However, there was quite a bit of concern, I think, on the part of the planning board and the community that the height was not sort of consistent with community character, so it was reduced to 4 stories. But in doing that, the unit mix had to be changed, and so it's now 25 one-bedroom units, which, with the parking, further reduced to 30 spaces on the site. So again, the planning board has reviewed this project extensively. They have also been the lead agency for the environmental review under SECRA. They adopted a negative declaration for this project, and they also reviewed in detail with their consultants, Kellard Sessions, as well as Colliers. They reviewed in detail the site-specific issues as well as traffic, and they did get to a point where I believe that they are in a position to adopt a site plan if this board will consider granting the variances. And also, with respect to the traffic engineers for the town did conclude that there were no significant impacts from this project in the area. But as I mentioned, because there were some issues that were raised during the last meeting, we did provide memos that addressed the question of parking on the site, showing that there would be more than sufficient parking for the demand, using different data points, which I know that Brian Dempsey is here to address that. In addition, we went through and looked at other buildings in the vicinity, including there was a building just up the street on the other side of the fire station and the EMS, which has less parking spaces than number of units. That's the 43-unit residential building. It only has 17 usable parking spaces. We also looked at another parking scenario. This was at 10 Oak Ridge Place. That's a building that Mr. Agavino manages and owns, and that building was also found to have less parking. I think for 33 apartments, there were 23 vehicles that were actually owned by the residents. So there's further support in addition to other variances that this board has granted, and including I think it was 5 Ray Place and 291 Main Street, to allow for, again, reduction in required parking. So let me just catch up here. So again, the submissions before you include submissions from Mr. Smith and from our office. We also wanted to point your attention to the Westchester County Planning Board letter from 2024, which also encourages the town to reduce the amount of parking for multifamily developments. They have actually been encouraging that across the board because of the impacts of unnecessary parking, which increases impervious surface, et cetera. But really, their other purpose for this is that there is an ongoing housing crisis in the state, and sometimes kind of antiquated or older versions of parking ratio requirements can require more parking than there's actually demand for. So many nearby communities have actually required a 1-to-1 parking ratio, especially when you're dealing with properties that are close to transportation. So we're talking about close to the train station, with bus stops like Beeline bus stops, and so in that instance, it's likely that the residents would either not have a car or only have one car. And I believe also Mr. Agavino has spoken to the fact that there would be a restriction in the leases to the number of cars that would be permitted for each resident, for each apartment. So there, that's the basis of our parking study. So we believe that this is a thoughtfully designed community. I know that the original submission that was made by Mr. Smith, went through the balancing test with you, and I'm happy to go through that again. But in all, I wanted to just highlight the fact that the negative declaration that the planning board had adopted concluded that this project was, in line and compliance with the community and with the surrounding community, and so it was designed that way, and that was the basis of the negative declaration. So. We're also here to address your comments specifically, so I'd like to turn that over unless you'd like for the board to take that action.
Well, I would like to make a motion to reopen the public hearing at this point.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
So I would like to make a couple of comments now.
Okay.
So I've read your submissions, looked at your submissions, looked at the prior approval, and unfortunately, the arguments that you make, most of them aren't applicable to the town right now. Yes, Westchester is encouraging all of Westchester as New York State to lower the parking variances, but that's not our law. Our law is what we have to follow. So you're required to provide 38 spaces. You're asking for a substantial variance on that. You're saying that you're going to put it in the lease, and having run buildings of bigger sizes, people violate the lease all the time, and that happens. So it's a nice thing to say to us, but sometimes it's just not practical that you can carry it out. So other things is,
So,
parking and
if-
traffic. I'm speaking now? Can I continue? I let you speak. So, traffic and parking studies, and I'll speak just for myself because I find that in the last 5 years, everyone I've read has never found an issue with any project that I've done here in Westchester or Manhattan, Queens, or Brooklyn. They just don't say there's issues. So I discount the traffic and parking study, and I really discounted what we were talking about as a traffic problem. I think that got misconstrued, at least in my opinion. We were talking about specific deliveries, garbage pickups, things of that nature. Look, the project is a beautiful project. You've thought of everything you possibly can. I'll give you credit for that. But the practicality of human nature is they will not pull into your facility to put your packages in the lobby. They won't do it. I don't care where you go up and down White Plains or any place in the area, Amazon parks where they want to park. They just do. So I appreciate what you've done and thought it out. But that was what our comment was, I'm thinking about, was that that's going to cause the problem when you have a backup, not the cars going by, okay? Not that. And that's what the traffic study is doing. They're looking at periods of time, they're looking at things going by, and we understand that. But we're talking about specific instances, holiday time, things like that, where Amazon is constantly there, stopping the flow of traffic on a narrow street, on a very narrow street. Plus, you have a fire department right up the street that goes out often. So if an Amazon truck is down at your property and the fire department has to get down to the village of Tuckahoe, we got a problem. So those are the things that, I appreciate that you took the time and you spent the money, but to me, those are the things you can't convince me of personally that are going to change anything, okay? The other variances that you're talking about, I have no issue with. You have 3 other variances or 4 other variances. It comes down to, in my opinion, and what you've shown me, your turning ratios are nominal. They're not there. You put any kind of mid-size SUV, you're going to have a tough time turning that vehicle around. So, that's my take on this application. Mr. Miller, any comment?
No, sir.
So,
I would just ask, I
Yes.
wasn't here in 2019 or in the February meeting. You're at 25 now. What was the reason to go up from 15 to 25 and possibly not settle at 20 units?
So I will leave that to Mr. Agamino to respond to. Before I do, though, I just wanted to answer your point about the substantiality of these variances. So again, as you're familiar, substantiality is something that has to be viewed in context. So in the context of this application and the way that it has been reviewed thoroughly by the planning board for these turning radii that you're referring to, and for the sufficiency of the parking, which has been studied by experts, and we haven't, that hasn't been challenged in any way by anyone in your board or your consultants. In that context, we're submitting that it's not substantial. So I wanted to address that point of yours, but I do want Mr. Agamino to come up and talk about your question and also address the deliveries issue. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Angelo Agavino. I'm the owner and hopefully the developer of this project. So the reason why we changed this project around, it's been, we went from 15 apartments, the 2 bedrooms and the 1 bedroom mixed. We then found out that we had to remove the power lines from the front of the building with Con Edison and all the other companies. It was a substantial amount. It never made the project make sense. So then the property behind came for sale. I purchased the property behind. We restructured the building. We wanted to do still bigger apartments. I'm an Eastchester guy. I live here. I wanted to build a nice, like luxurious, big apartments. So we went up we tried to do the 6 stories. The town didn't like it. We went back to the drawing board and we brought it down to 4 stories. And they changed everything to 1 bedroom because that's the only way it financially makes sense. We took out, I'll explain it to you. So with the 15 apartment building that was approved, there was parking on the first floor on the sides. So there was, I believe there was 4 or 5 spots inside on both sides. Now there's only parking in the back. There's a few spots back here that are inside the building. We redesigned and put some apartments, one bedroom on the first floor to make it all make sense. If you want, I can kind of pull up the plan. I'll kind of just walk you through real quick. So this is the site plan. We have some cars parked along the side of the building. We have spots in the back here. There's also spots on the lot that has the house on New Street. So we put 4 apartments down here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and the lobby's in the middle here, and there's spots back here. This is underneath the building, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there, and
There's
that's
4 on the first floor?
yeah, 4 apartments on the first floor, and there's, I think there's 6 upstairs. And then they're all typical floors above that. Did I explain?
Yeah, no, I was just
I
trying.
just wanted to make sure. With the deliveries, we stayed there for a few hours and we watched the traffic when we did this study. Again, to make sure that I kind of had the right information to bring back to you guys. I stood there with the traffic engineer myself. There's houses in this property right now. There's a 2-family house. It had a commercial garage. Trucks used to park here, come in and out, dump a lot of material in the back there. People got deliveries here and also going to get deliveries of the house that we're going to knock down. So there's deliveries coming and going around this property all the time if it were to be habitable right now.
But not 25 deliveries.
I understand.
25 apartments
so-
is a lot different in volume than you say, let's go 6. 6 people getting deliveries, 7 people? Can you?
It doesn't change the truck. The
It
truck,
does.
the guy, I'm sorry, I'm not, all right, no problem.
Oh.
The truck still has to come there and make a delivery. The FedEx guy, the UPS guy, all the guys still have to deliver to this property, the one next door to that, all the way down the line. And we came up with a great plan. I mean, I'm hoping that Amazon and everybody follows the plan, like the building adjacent to the firehouse. What they do is they pull in there, they come into the front door, because it's easier. Then if they stopped in the middle of the road, they have to walk all the way up the driveway with, a bunch of boxes to all these apartments. It's harder for them to do that. It's easier for a person in human nature to pull in and pull right in front of the door. The door is not on the street. It's up a little bit. So if I were to be a delivery guy, I would want to be as close as possible to the door so I don't have to lug everything from the street and go all the way up, 20, 30
I understand your
feet to the
point,
door.
but if you look at, urban areas, they're used to pushing stuff around. Multiple family houses in the Bronx and Queens,
Most of those
Manhattan,
properties,
they're
the
walking up
door
and
is
down the
right
street.
on the street. It's,
So, I could refute this 100
No,
times.
I just wanted to give you my,
I appreciate
way
it.
we-
I do.
I'm not trying to change, I just wanted to give you our study on it. So like when a delivery guy comes in, there's a spot directly, let me just go back to the front. I'll just
Right
go
on the
over
side there.
the delivery flow. Main Street, if you came in here,
it's right
there's
there.
a spot for a truck to pull in and go right into the front door. So the sidewalk is here. He would have to park here, go up the ramp, walk around, come up this big ramp, go this way, and then go into the front door. It would make it more challenging to do that, and everybody, human nature is, I want to go the easiest path. The easiest path is the way the design team, my traffic engineer, all these guys designed this flow to kind of go in here. I mean, we're open to suggestions. If you want to change or do something, like I'm willing to do. I want to build a beautiful building here. I want to do something nice. If you're like, hey, Ange, let's maybe. So we're open to suggestions. If you
You've
if
been
you have
very
it.
open, your team has been very open, you've been here several times.
Michael, I just have a question on a different topic, though. And it may have been in the February meeting or in the past, but I'm here now. How are you handling snow removal with all those cars parked there?
That's one of the.
Where are they gonna move, go?
So most likely, it's gonna be, I'm gonna do a heated, like, melt station, like underneath the blacktop.
Okay.
But I asked for a variance to truck it away. So there's a company that that does the building, I don't know the exact address, but it's just below. It's a fairly large building, and what they do is they load it up on a truck and they take it out. You know, when there's a large snow, if there's a little bit, it's cleaned up and pushed to the side. We received this variance prior.
Okay.
The only thing that's different is this area that would need to be cleaned as well.
Well, what variance was that prior?
That is the variance from section 13C7B, that there has to be a location for on-site snow removal, and there's no location. That was also a part of the variances granted in 2019, and it was a condition of the variances and the site plan approval, I believe, that it had to be trucked off-site when it reached, I think, 3 inches of snow.
Most likely, this building is designed, and I want to keep it and rent it. I own multiple properties in Eastchester, keep them and maintain them, and, you know, keep them beautiful. So the plan is to do something like that so it's easier. But if not, we will hire this company that they're great, and they do a great job for this other building, and we're gonna, you know, it's either the plan, but we have to get a variance no matter what, because we don't have a designated spot to push the snow.
Would there be a variance needed for heated pavement too?
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify that part of the reason why we did these additional studies is because Mr. Conway, who's not here tonight, did express some concerns and raise some questions about the parking specifically and about the
School.
the proximity of Waverly, right, the school,
I
and
was
how
here, I
that
remember.
would work. And so that's part of the reason why we submitted this additional information. I know that Mr. Agavino went out, and you can talk about what the actual traffic pattern is around there.
I mean, Phil will get a little bit more into it, but I printed out a little bit of a Google map here, just to kind of, so the school's here, and it's about 2 blocks away, the building, which is here. We observed most of the traffic. I mean, I think all you guys are Eastchester, dropped off kids here. Most of Eastchester that comes into this school comes from the north side, going down south, comes down here, waits in line, and pulls in, and they build up traffic, go here, and they go this way. They usually make a U-turn here and kind of turn up, and they go back to their house or where they live. Some of the traffic went down New Street, not a lot. It was maybe out of every 20 cars, it was 1 car. Phil has the actual data of that, and we stayed there during school drop-off and school pickup. There was maybe a few cars that made a right and went down towards the project. We observed during these hours, there was a lot of parking right in front of the building that was open during the hours because the stores and all that stuff
Not open
pretty much
yet.
closed the commercial area. So most of the spots along in front of the building that we want to develop are open. Also on New Street, we observed most of the spots on the street are open because either people that parked there that live there already went to work, or nobody's parking their car around this building or on New Street and walking their kids down the block. There are some parents, we saw them walk down New Street to go drop off their kids in school, but they didn't have a car and parked it down by the building. We observed there's a building that was just built right next to the school. A tremendous amount of cars parked all over the place over here by the school and went into this accounting office or whatever is there. And, you know, they made a mess of traffic a little bit. They have a lot here. But I don't think that this building being so far away, it impacts the school. I mean,
I
I'd be
have
more
to
than
agree
happy
with you.
to meet you guys out there during a
No,
pickup
no,
or drop
I
off to show you.
actually, I understand Mr. Conway's comments and questions, but I agree with you. I don't think your building will impact the Waverly School traffic.
Okay.
I don't see that. That's, again, I'm only one guy, so.
Yeah, no, I don't.
No, but it goes the way you say.
Yeah, so mostly is this, and that's what we observed. They're like parked, like basically down to the bank, and they stop here, and then they go in and they turn, and then they turn around here, and they go back and go this way, or go down Hall and make the right, go to, or, what is this, I don't know what the name of that street is there. But, then they'll go down and then go back to the north side.
No, accurate as can be.
For like, I'm sorry, I missed the fact that, I just wanted to explain before. Sorry. Stuck. So, I just wanted to go over the flow and the parking. So anything above, what was it here? Anything above 9 feet, this is gonna be a two-way road. So deliveries will come in this way or come in on New Street and go here and that would be the flow of traffic. So like they'll come in here and go out and make the left this way.
You're not gonna allow them to come in because you said it was one way, right?
Yeah,
But that
exactly.
could never happen, right?
I'm sorry?
That could never happen, that someone would come in the wrong way.
Well, I mean,
Anything's possible,
yeah.
right? Anything's possible. Just say anything's possible.
I mean, yes, 100%. Well, we're gonna
I don't need
sign
the
it and
traffic
try do
engineer
the
to tell me
best
that.
We can. in order to-
No, so deliveries will come in
Sorry.
off,
Off of Main.
off of Main, and because of the clearance of the building, and discussions with the planning board, the deliveries will continue straight out
Oh.
to New Street and turn left.
Mr. Agarino just made the point that they could come down and turn left into his property. It's possible.
Well, they won't be able to make it under the clearance
Well,
here.
I know, but that's when they realized they made a mistake and now they gotta back out.
Well, one of the things that we were required to do with the planning, and for the record, Brian Dempsey from DTS Provident. This was a detailed discussions with the planning board and the planning board's traffic consultants. Signage plans were put in, showing the proper signage and proper patterns for there. The fire department requested, when we discussed with them, that they would want to come in this way. Now, as a fire engine, they have that right and ability, and they would come through here. We received the specifics of all their equipment in terms of clearance and length and width.
No, it was all in the package. It was
And-
all in what you submitted. I read it.
And-
I saw the flow. I understand it.
We reviewed it. One of their concerns was if they would bottom out here, so we had to do additional studies for that. And that they can make this turn coming out of here to return back to the firehouse. All of that can be done properly and safely. There would not be issues with bottoming out or hitting any of the curves.
Yeah, the fire department did confirm, they did submit a study showing that the fire truck could manage the grade at the driveway platform. Also, that the fire truck could make that turn. They just asked that there be no parking along New Street between the firehouse and the property. So the fire department has reviewed this application.
Yep. I don't have anything. Hey, guys, any questions?
No, I'm good.
Thank you.
You gotta open it up.
Can I just wanted to add a couple more points, and if you have anything additional, you can add. I just wanted to add that, again, I think a lot of what we're talking about here is operation and management of the site, which is separate from what we're talking about here with the variances themselves and what we're asking for. So the 5-point balancing test is whether or not it'll create an undesirable change, whether there are feasible alternatives, substantiality in the context, whether there'll be any adverse effects from the proposal, and whether this is a self-created difficulty. So these 25 units is permitted under zoning. It's, this type of development is permitted in this zoning district. So what we have worked really hard to accomplish with the planning board, as Brian mentioned, was to create the kind of movement in the parking lot and the kind of restrictions that would prevent any adverse effects to the neighborhood. And that's what that is. So part of that is going to have to be Mr. Agavino managing his property, but that's like with any property, you'd have to manage it to make sure that the rules are followed. Just like if there's any, rules with any multifamily or property in town. Okay, so, but we have put in the mechanisms to ensure that this runs smoothly as it can. And also with deliveries, obviously, there's usually the same delivery guy. Once deliveries are in place, once they're familiar with the site, then it becomes something that's just routine. So I want to state that for the record. And you had some additional comments?
I just want to, so we did a traffic study. I'm sure you guys read it. I own the building across the street, 10 Oak Ridge Place. It's, there's a lot less, because that's why we market it. So we market the building, there's no spots. I don't have one parking spot, not even one. The building's an old building. We bought it, my dad bought it many years ago. So when we advertise it, we tell the people, there's no spots. They go and they rent a spot from the town. But I think there's a lot less. Brian will go into the study exactly. But we, talked to all the tenants there. Our super got involved. We asked all the tenants, and we found out the cars, and we talked to each tenant and found out that there was a very low number of cars, because that's what we ask the people. We tell them that, hey, listen, there's no spots. I'm sorry. And most of the tenants that live there, even though it's further than this building, they walk to the train. We market it to be walkable to the train. And this building will be the same. It's, you have one car, and maybe if some spots, maybe some apartments, they don't have a car, like they don't own a car, and one guy wants to have 2 spots, we'll let them know, hey, this is month to month. If this guy moves out, we need to take that spot back, or whatever however we need to do in order to manage, or that other apartment won't have a spot. So it's all manageable by us, and if the person that comes there, these are going to be substantially expensive apartments. It's not like these guys are going to want to park their really nice car down on the street somewhere down the road. If they don't like the parking situation, they'll rent from somebody else. And that's the way we're going to market this building, is that these are the spots. We would love to have you, but if you have more, go somewhere else. So I just wanted to say that Brian will go into the study on 10 Oak Ridge. I think it was pretty favorable, similar to this building.
Yeah, regarding 10 Oak Ridge, there's 33 apartments there. One of them's the super's apartment, and they had a total of 23 total cars between the residents and the super there. And some people did have 2 cars. A lot of them had no cars. The ones who did either parked on the street or rented spaces from the town, in that case at the public library. Diane did mention before, IT for this size project recommends 23 parking spaces. Urban Land Institute recommends 27. We're providing 30. And you did mention that those are more national, so we did show different local examples besides 10 Oak Ridge. Just on the other side of the EMS building here, there's 43 units and also some mixed uses on the bottom floor. And that building only provides 17 parking spaces. And that's even closer to the school. And it's just basically a block away from this project. 291 Main Street has required 25 parking spaces. There's 11 provided at that spot. And we had others listed in there. I won't go through all of them, but those are 2 places right near our building that have much greater variances in terms of the number of parking spaces provided versus number of units. We are 1 block away from the Westchester B line bus stops. We're just slightly more than a half mile from the train station, so both are easily walkable. A lot of people now are using rideshare and Uber and Lyft. In terms of deliveries, as we discussed before, we had detailed discussions with the planning board on deliveries, how they would work, what's the best ways to get them to work. And so and the other things in our letter we did touch on before, so I won't repeat them again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Just one comment. The Oak Ridge property is pretty substantially far away from this project, is it not?
Yeah, but it's still it's owned by the same family.
I understand,
it was an example.
but you have a parking lot of substantial size that has permit parking, and that's what you're saying, correct? That people that can get a spot can use the town facility and buy a spot. I think if you're moving to this building, you're not walking to that lot to get your car.
Right, but even though they
I mean,
can,
is that a fair statement?
yeah, but
Thank
even
you.
though you can rent a spot, we did do a survey and there's only 23 cars for those.
Right, but there's a lot of other people that park there that get spots from the town.
But not from that apartment. This
I
is a-
understand you're using a specific property, but that's a municipal lot that's for all residents in that area, correct?
Yes,
Right.
but the thing is that we market that building like we're going to market. So I brought it up as an instance,
No,
like,
and I
similar
appreciate the
to-
reference, but to my point is you're much further away. So to make a statement that says, this building does this and it has this many cars, it's in a different area than where this project will be. So all your statistics will support the Oak Ridge property, but not necessarily this property because you don't have the same municipal parking lot near you.
I'm not making reference to the building is similar.
I didn't say that, but you're saying.
What I'm saying is that I'm the owner of 10 Oak Ridge, and I market the building this way. And I let them know that there's no parking, and we have a low amount of cars there. And I just wanted to show you as a reference that, because you said that people don't listen and they just bring a lot of cars and they do a lot of things that
I
they don't
didn't say
listen to
people bring a
management.
lot of cars. I said that,
So?
I didn't say anything about the number of cars people have. All I said was that you're using a property that's in a different location, that has a parking lot that rents spaces to residents in the town. So whether you market it that way or not, they have the
substantially-
ability to get a parking spot from the town.
Absolutely, but a substantially less amount of parking spots per apartment. And that's what our study shows, that our study shows that most apartments are not going to have cars. And
I
that's what we
understand.
were referencing. This is the town of Eastchester. It doesn't matter exactly where you are in Eastchester. You're living in Eastchester because you love the Eastchester town, the restaurants, the facilities, everything, the parkways that we're so close to. So the thing is, we're just referencing the town of Eastchester. This building has
I understand
this
your
amount of
point.
cars and this amount of apartments, just to show that the parking study is not just, we're just making some from Rutgers or something like that, but this is a real
I
building.
didn't say you made it up.
I understand, I just, sorry.
So, look, your point is taken. However, again, this is, obviously, we're providing parking on site. I think the point was that there's a lot of buildings in Eastchester that don't provide parking on site. We are providing parking on site, and we've shown that it's a sufficient number of spots. That was the point of it. So
Got
I
that
think
15 minutes ago.
yeah, so I think that we've really addressed in a lot of detail the benefits of this project, to the applicant. We've shown that there really is no identifiable detriment to the neighborhood from this project. And so we are hopeful that you would consider that. Are there any other questions from
Well,
Mr. Weber?
I'd like to give the public an opportunity, if they're
Sure.
here, to talk.
Absolutely.
So if you want, I would ask if anybody from the public wants to speak, please come up and do so. All right, seeing no one, then I'm going to close the public hearing.
But before we close the public hearing, I just want to make sure that everybody has had a chance to ask any questions about any of the variances. You know, they all can be considered independent or together. Make sure you have had an opportunity to ask all of your questions about the variance. Make sure the applicant has had a chance to submit whatever it would like in support of the variances.
I think that was obvious.
Yeah.
Anybody? Any other questions? Okay, so the public hearing, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. I need a second.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Anything else from the board? Any other statement we want to make?
No,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you guys so much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
So I just want to clarify that the next June meeting is?
The 10th.
Is the 10th? And
Yes.
Okay, and that,
We'll be on for resolution,
Okay.
God willing, on the 10th.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving right along, we're going to move right into application 24-25, 34 Water Street, 1 and 3 Rogliano Way subdivision.
Do we have to get Alan back?
No, Alan's recused for this application as well. Yes.
Vote on that order.
He's a busy guy.
The owners are Joe Rogliano, and I'd have to fill out the application for the rest.
You can't be here either? So Joe, you're going to have to recuse yourself?
Yeah, you know what, we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll be back.
Okay, we're back.
So before we get started, just a procedural note, both the chairman and Mr. Miller are recusing themselves in this application. So we have 2 board members here who can hear your presentation. We will have a 3rd voting member when the matter comes for resolution. So it's up to you if you want to proceed tonight with just 2 members here for the hearing. If you'd like the hearing to stay open at the end of this session to allow the other member a chance to participate in it, that would be fine too.
Okay, so it's more of an informational,
Correct.
it's tonight, okay, thank you. Steve Anderson from Gabriel E. Senior PC, land surveyors and engineers, presenting to you a 3-lot subdivision, which will create 4. We have a long lot that fronts on Water Street, and it's just shy of 18,000 square feet. And the unusual situation in this neighborhood is that the zoning line cuts across like this. And when the original subdivision of Rugliano Way was done, you know, it got quite a few zoning variances to make it more fitting to the neighborhood for an R5 zone. So, from what I understand, the R10 zone resulted from when the school was built or something, or is that so? So what we've done is we can have 2 lots conforming to the R5 with no problem. And this was originally approved on the first subdivision. The only thing that changes now, it's still conforming, is the lot line. The lot line used to be here, and now we're moving it down to here, so that this lot will have a 50-foot of frontage. Now, I'll go through all the particulars. The new lot that we're creating, the 10,000 square foot, will have 10,000 square feet for R10, but it will be, we're asking for couple variances, basically the side yard setbacks, the 14 and the 16, we're bringing it down to 10. And the frontage on the cul-de-sac, it should be 80 feet is the regulation on a cul-de-sac, but we're bringing it down to 50. And the last item is the effective square. So those are the variances for this particular lot. And this lot will be like this and go around here. Now, this house is already built. It was conforming to the original subdivision. Then subsequently, it got another variance a couple of months later for the area. And and it will still meet, we're asking for a variance for area and the frontage again. It's 50 foot. It did have originally an 80-foot frontage. So it had, and we're conforming to all the previous zoning variants that were given. So that's really the extent of the project. Kellard and Planning Board have seen this a couple times. Kellard doesn't have any major items. We've satisfied like 100-year storm. So we're pretty much at the end game on the engineering. So so that's what we're presenting, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I have no comments on this.
No
You?
comments or
Okay.
questions?
So I'm going to open the public hearing up.
Okay.
I need a motion, a second, to open up the public hearing.
Oh, I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Public hearing is open. Is anybody from the public here that wants to speak on this project? Seeing none, I'm going to ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second your motion.
You'll second that, too?
Well, hold on, do you want to close the public hearing, or did you want to keep it open for the third member to participate? That's your call.
I guess we could close the public hearing, yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so we will close, I still need that motion,
I'll second it.
and you'll second it, so all in favor? Aye. So the public hearing is closed. Do we have any additional comments?
No.
I have no additional comments. I think your presentation was right on point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
So this will be scheduled for a resolution at the June 10th meeting.
Okay, thank you.
So now can we get the real chairman back? I'm going to have to put in for combat pay.
Who's this?
Okay, is this 9 Park Avenue?
It is, sir.
Okay. Name and address for the record and proceed with your presentation.
Not that touch savvy. Good evening, thank you very much. My name is Emmanuel de Amor from the Amor Studio. I'm the architect for this application. We have here the owner of the property, 9 Park Ave. This is pretty much a porch enclosure. These are the existing pictures of the house from both angles. And obviously the porch you see there.
Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Microphone.
Okay, would you mind speaking into the microphone?
Sorry.
That's okay, it just has to be transposed with a stenographer later, and they have to pick it up.
So these are the existing, the pictures of the existing house from both angles, the front and the side. This is the side plan, pretty much. What we have here is, marked in red, the area of porch that wants to be enclosed. The situation why we're here, obviously, is because the existing house, again, we're not creating any additional footprint. Within the existing footprint, we just enclosing the porch. Unfortunately, the house is, might have obtained previously variances because of the front yard, rear yard, and side yard. So front yard, it's required to be 30 feet, and we have 10.1 to the corner of this here. And then the side yard is supposed to be 8 feet, we have 6.5, and the rear yard is supposed to be 25 feet, and we have 24.1. Again, we're not disturbing the existing footprint of the house, we're just enclosing the porch. So this application here, I'm showing on the plans. Sorry. Oops. Hold on, what's going on? Okay, so this is the existing, potential proposed demolition plans, where these are the existing windows that were taken down, so we leaving the existing header pretty much and cutting the sill of the window down. Now the next plan, it shows the proposed first floor, where it's pretty much, enclosing the porch. We're creating these windows here in the front, on left and right, and a door in the middle. The space to the right, it becomes the office space, and then the space to the left is a bathroom. As you can see, the existing house doesn't have a bathroom on the ground floor. It just has one bathroom on the second floor. So obviously, that's not very ideal. So the idea is to create this bathroom area with an access towards the additional, this bedroom on the side. This is a rendering of what this enclosure could look like, pretty much having windows on both sides. So we created the door in the middle, and then, just a touch of the different color and panel on the side that is the existing bump out. And so this is the survey. We did a little homework, and we went around the neighborhood. These are some of the existing, the pictures of the porch itself right now. So basically, this is the window on the left, where we're planning to put the bathroom, and this is the window on the right, where we're planning to make this an office. And this is the location of the house. Again, more front pictures. So we went around the site, and the client here actually went around and took pictures, make this very nice setup that indicates other houses around the neighborhood that have enclosed porch. So it's not going to look very, dissimilar to the rest of the neighborhood. So we think this is going to fit contextually very nicely. And again, this is an example. The house is over here where the red, project site. And then the arrow, 10 Sullivan Avenue, it seems very, obvious that this used to be a porch and they enclosed it. Another example is this house, 30 Park, over the corner, where it's very obvious also that they have enclosed a porch for some habitable space, I guess. And then, so this is the house immediately next to us, 15 Park, another example. And then over here, up the hill on 93 Park Ave, which is, it looks also very obvious that they have an enclosed porch. There are letters also from the neighbors that we have support from, do you mind, which neighbor has sent? Immediately to the right. So basically, this one here, right? 30 Park? 15, sorry. 15 Park. So has also provided a letter of support for this application. These are the plans that we submitted to the building department, and they had the comment to bring this project to you for your approval, for us to allow us to move forward with this application.
Okay. Well, thank you for your presentation, and the renderings, visuals were quite good.
Thank you.
Very helpful. So at this time, I usually reserve time for the board to ask questions and make comments. Mr. Cahalan?
Yeah, the only thing is, it is a substantial ask, 66%, but in this case, it is really meeting the test, in my opinion, that it is keeping within the character of the neighborhood. So I can overlook the big deficiency this time because it really is in keeping with the neighborhood.
Thank you, Mr. Cahalan. Mr. Miller?
Nope.
Weber?
No,
I don't have
good job.
anything at this time. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing on this matter.
Second.
Mr. Cahalan, all in favor?
Aye.
Would anyone from the public like to be heard on this application? Okay. Seeing no one, I make a motion to close the public hearing on this matter. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Cahalan, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, back to the board, because I must. Mr. Cahalan?
Said my piece.
Okay, Mr. Miller?
Still nothing.
And Mr. Weber?
Nope, nothing.
The only thing I have is that I think that you've sufficiently met the 5-part test, and as Mr. Cahalan mentioned earlier, it's certainly not out of character with the neighborhood. You're dealing with a structure that really exists. You're not extending any impervious surfaces, lines, setbacks, or anything along those lines. And I think it'll actually improve the look of not only the premises, but the neighborhood. So, having said all that, I make a motion to resolve this matter at the next meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Helen, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you very much. Have a good
Okay.
night.
Thank you.
Last item on our calendar tonight is application 21-17. This is 15 Tuckahoe Avenue subdivision. If you can come forward, name and address for the record, and please proceed with your presentation.
Good evening, members of the board. Michael Mastrogiacomo from Mastrogiacomo Engineering. We're the consulting engineers for the project. The property here is located at 15 Tuckahoe Avenue, and it is just near the intersection of White Plains Road. The reason why we're here tonight, the project involves a 5-lot subdivision, and we are here for 4 variances. The first variance is in relation to the 12-foot required radius at the property lines. We're seeking a variance for this as we don't own this property next door. Second variance is we are required to have 150 feet to the intersection of White Plains Road, which we are shy by 6 feet and a half inch. And the other 2 variances are for keeping the existing house the way it is. We need a front yard and a side yard variance. We like to keep that house right now. That's like, we're not even looking at what to do here, as there's a lot of work in order to build the road and all that. Plus, we would like to try to keep the house as it matches the whole community and it doesn't disrupt anybody. So that's what we are here for this evening.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation. Before I go to the board for questions or comments, our attorney, if we can have some supplementation as it relates to traffic and fire.
Sure, so this application was reviewed at the planning board by Colliers, our consulting traffic engineers, and they had only very kind of minor comments that will be picked up by the planning board should the application move forward to a resolution for subdivision approval. We specifically asked our consulting engineer to review the site distances at the subdivision road, and it was confirmed in a memo to your board dated April 30th that they were sufficient to meet industry standards. We also referred this application to the fire department to ensure that its apparatus can access all of the lots in the subdivision, and they had a few comments that I believe the applicant is amenable to, just that concrete mountable curbs are required basically along the straightaway of the subdivision, that no parking restrictions will be along the full length of the street section of the subdivision road, and that streetlights, trees, and hydrants will be set back a minimum of 3 feet from the face of the curb.
Okay, thank you, Counselor. All right, so having heard that, and that's part of the record, not only that presentation, but also the documentation behind it. Mr. Cahalan, any questions or comments?
None.
Mr. Miller?
No.
Mr. Weber?
No.
I don't have anything. At this time, anyway. I make a motion to open the public hearing on this application.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Cahalan. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, seeing nobody here, I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing on this. Is there a second?
Second that.
Cahalan, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, back to the board. Mr. Cahalan?
No comment?
Mr. Miller? None. Mr. Weber?
None.
And in light of the, I guess we'll call it the testimony of our experts, and your presentation, I think you've met the 5-part test, and particularly those concerns for traffic and safety. So I'm going to make a motion to resolve this matter at the next meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Cahalan, all in favor? Aye. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. You too. Okay, well, one item left, and that's I'm going to make a motion to adjourn our May 13th meeting. The next meeting is Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Cahalan, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.